some more Star Citizen. I am attira.kell, and here we are today at Invictus Week, Day 1, the RSI floor, the Consolidated Outlands, Argo and Origin. So we have a interesting show of ships here today. So, and obviously, of course, today is the first day they're releasing the Scorpius, which we're going to talk about at the end. We're going to do a quick discussion, but really quick, just what they're presenting on the floor very quickly. Alright, so the ship, first ship very quickly on your front right when you come in the room is the RSI Mantis Interdiction ship. Looks pretty cool, kind of takes on, it set the standard for the new kind of RSI feel, that new updated feel. Yeah, the next ship is the RSI Phoenix, or Constellation Phoenix, which, I don't know why the whole backside of this floor is super dark, because this is a very brightly colored ship. It's white, all that. But yeah, so this is the luxury touring vessel for the Constellation class. And next is the Rsi Constellation Aquila, which is the Explorer variant of the Constellation lineup. It has that large, rounded front end, which everybody loves, and it replaces the top turret, I believe, with a sensor dish. And finally, the last ship on the floor is the Constellation Andromeda, which is the base model, but it's effectively, more or less advertised as a gunship. For all three of these ships, it's going to be really cool with the new missile operator mode, because considering they have a huge store of missiles, so the co-pilot will be able to really bring those to bear while the pilot is using those main guns. Our next ship is the Aurora Ln, which is the military starter for the Aurora, and you can see that it's got 4 missiles on top, and it has a few more guns. I believe it's 2 additional ballistic miniguns on it as well. So this is just kind of a slightly, barely upgraded version of the starter game package Aurora. So the first ship on our right, as you enter into the side hall, is the Argo M Pup, and there's 2 variants, the cargo and the personnel. So not a combat ship per se, but certainly one of those things that for a combat vessel, a large combat vessel, you're going to need one of these to move personnel, supplies, and things like that from the surface, oftentimes up into the ship. So, still an important fleet ship for resupply and things like that when they get this in the game. Our next ship in the center of the side hall is the Mustang Delta, the military variant of the Mustang series. A really good starter combat ship, it's a lot of fun, super zippy, small, quick, maneuverable. It's a lot of fun to fly. Over on the left side of that side hall is the Origin 125A and 325A. So your Origin lineup ships for luxury combat experience. Both of these ships are a lot of fun, although I will argue that the starter quantum drive, at least on the 325, ooh boy, you cannot get very far with that, so definitely something you got to upgrade. But both of these ships are solid. The 125 is obviously a starter luxury kind of combat ship, and then your 325 is a good upgrade. Alright, now once you head down the stairs, the only thing actually on display down here for RSI Day is the Ursa Rover, which is the quintessential Explorer class rover. It does come with some weapons, a bit of storage, and some seating in the back for your friends. But yeah, this is basically your core baseline rover that has been in the game for the longest, our first ground vehicle. As we head downstairs to the holograms, right, we have the G12A, which is Origin's entry into the combat vehicle kind of entry. It's an anti-aircraft, more or less, vehicle with 4 size 2 missiles on it. I'm not a big fan of this variant. I love the racer variant of the G12, but the military variant has very little for me staying power with regard to anti-air or even combat. So 4 and done right now, and we'll see what they do with that in the future. The next ship on the hologram in the hologram hall is the Rsi Polaris. Now this, many people will disagree, this is the smallest capital ship. So we talk about the Hammerhead, we talk about the next ship, which is the Perseus, but those don't technically, I don't think, fall for CIG within the realm of capital class ship. Those are more of gunships. This is your Corvette class capital ship, and its primary means of killing targets is its torpedoes. It's going to be fairly short range compared to other capital class vessels, but nonetheless, this is an exceptional multi-crew vessel certainly for in-system use, and it will most likely be a great deal of fun for some of that mid-level capital class multi-crew gameplay. Alright, the next ship downstairs in the hologram hall is the fill-in for the Constellation Taurus. You know, this is, of course, an Aquila model. It's the old Aquila model, but that's okay, right? So there is one more Constellation variant. It is a cargo variant. It doubles the size of the cargo at the expense of the Merlin. And then you, of course, also, there's like a smuggler's compartment where the top turret would be. So that's about all you can say for this. It's long awaited, and you know, that's really all you can say about the Connie Taurus. Alright, our next ship is the Vaunted Perseus class ship. Now, I don't call this a capital ship. I call this a gunboat or an escort vessel or gunship. Kind of in the same class as the Hammerhead. So if the Hammerhead is which we'll see later in the week, is a anti-fighter capability screening ship, this would be a anti-capital ship. So you see the very large guns on top. You know, this is a hyper-efficient vessel in that it has a very small crew count for what will ultimately be a fairly impressive combat capability. The Perseus is definitely something I look forward to using and playing in game. It's a pretty awesome design, and it's a pretty awesome ship. So, you know, I look forward to seeing this in the game, and hopefully we won't have to wait too long, but that probably means a couple of years. But fantastic little sub-capital multi-crew vessel. Here we are at the last ship on display in the hologram hall, the RSI Scorpius. This is the latest entry for RSI. It is, I think there's some confused marketing on it. That's just me personally, right? So the concierge email said heavy fighter. If you go to the store page, it just says fighter, whereas the Vanguard says heavy fighter. And there are some other issues with it as well. So in the Inside Sourcism, where they talked about this ship, they did discuss it as being more of a competitor for the Super Hornet and the Hurricane. So, and that is by way of its unique turret design. So just right off the top turret, those top 4 weapons you can see there are size 3 repeaters on a remote turret. And that remote turret, of course, can travel along a rail to the rear of the ship. Pretty cool capability. Overall, the ship is about 24 meters long, 33 meters wide, and 13 meters high. Now that puts it roughly between an F-8C Lightning and the Vanguard. Right, so that's a pretty big ship with a pretty big signature. It also has 4 additional S3 hardpoints that come standard with S2 gimbaled repeaters, and then it has 8 S2 missiles. So overall, at first glance, this ship has a huge amount of firepower. The challenges with this ship sit with its profile and with its hardpoints. So, for instance, right now the F-8C is rumored to have 4 small shield generators. The Saber has 2, or I'm sorry, the Saber has 3 small shield generators. You get that super layered, rapid recharge shield capability, which kind of makes them shield tanky versus, and of course the Lightning, of course, will be just a tank, but I mean it is space superiority. But for the Saber, it is a more or less relies on its shields. This ship has 2 small shield generators, which means it has less total defense in the shielding department as a Saber. It has the same as a Super Hornet, but here's the rub. The Super Hornet has an armor package that's going to come with it that's not in the game yet. And this ship may have an armor package with it, but if you look at where the wings connect, right, to the hull, that is going to be a guaranteed weak spot. And that brings us to what a lot of people have talked about online thus far, which is the placement of the guns on this ship. While I love, and I have no problem with the profile of this ship, it's gorgeous, but the placement means that one of the primary targets for folks are going to be your wings. And every wing that you lose, you're going to lose DPS. You're going to lose firepower every time you lose it. So it's definitely going to be a challenge. And I think if I were to, and I will kind of talk about at the end here what I think they should change to make this ship a little bit better, make it a little bit more competitive. But I definitely think that right now, it's not maybe where it should be. Number one turnoff for this ship for me is that the the rail-based turret does not slave forward to the pilot when you do not have a second player in that rear seat. Now, I know they're pushing multi-crew gameplay. That's what they want to do with this ship, and I love that idea. But there's been a lot of discussion that there's a high probability that 2 arrows, right, with 2 players for less money could easily smoke this ship in a dogfight. Now, we won't know that, right, until the ship releases and there's some tests made. But it has a very, again, it has a very large profile. Its weapons, right, are very far away from the body of the ship, which means you can lose them. They're tied to the wings, right? And you only have that single attack vector, right? The ship. Whereas with multi-crew, 2 people, 2 ships, you have a lot more options with regard to attack vectors, right? You have almost the same levels of firepower. So that's my first kind of problem with this. Is it's not really going to be super effective as a as a 2-player ship, and you're losing 50% of your firepower as a 1-player ship. And now they say they can fix this with blades in the future, and okay, that's fine. But I think right now, I mean, that's not a reality for us. So we know that the Super Hornet already slaves forward, right? And it may be old code, and it may not be what they want to do, but I really feel that for the purposes of the alpha, they could give us that pretty easily, and it would make this ship a lot meaner. So for instance, a Saber, right, also can have gimbaled S2s 4 or fixed S3s. More shielding, right? Sleeker profile, smaller, right? Probably better maneuverability, which means on its own it's already, on numbers, paper, better than this ship as with just the pilot. Yes, you can add the second pilot and double your damage, but you're not effective. But again, 2 Sabers, so 2 pilots and 2 Sabers, are probably going to fare much better in a combat situation than 2 players in 1 ship. The other big drawback for this for me, aside from its combat power, is the components. So I said when we first started talking about this ship that they kind of marketed it as a heavy fighter. Then they kind of walked back that a little bit maybe and said it was more of a Hurricane Super Hornet competitor. This has 100% small components, which on its surface, I don't necessarily have a problem with. It is, in theory, in size, right, located between an F8 Lightning and a Vanguard. So there's got to be some room here to where we can add some components. So if we marry up the idea of 3 smalls, or we have some type of hybrid solution for shields that's like a medium and a small, right, shield solution, I think that would put this in a much better place with regard to survivability in combat. Then when we talk about range, right? They want this to be an escort fighter. They want this to be kind of they imply it's a long-range escort vessel. Well, okay, then you need to maybe take some of that space and maybe give us medium quantum drive, medium fuel tanks. That would be very helpful as well. Everything's small. That means you're going to have a very limited range. You're basically an in-system escort versus a kind of longer-range escort, which is, I think, what they were kind of going for with this. So otherwise, and then of course we have the concept of blades and the idea of slaving weapons forward or whatever. But I think this ship is gorgeous. I think it needs some buffing with regard to component size. I think a mixed component loadout would make this a lot more competitive, right? And I think that if they could just lay that freaking Super Hornet code for their ball turret on top of this just temporarily for us, right? So that if a second player's in, it's a turret. If 1 player's in, it acts as slaved forward. That makes this ship a real competitor, right, immediately when they release it in the alpha. And that's just my thoughts on the matter. I hope you enjoyed this down and dirty quick video on what is RSI Day. I actually love this ship. I was going to buy it, but there are so many things that kind of held me back from getting it. So, maybe I'll get it in the PU. We'll have it. I'm sure we'll have one in ammo, right? And then we'll do a walkthrough and we'll test it and see how it goes. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Come check out ammo. Links, as always, are in the description down below. I hope you enjoy Invictus Week. I will have my freaking referral code up. If you are new to Star Citizen and you're looking to get into the game, feel free to use that. You'll get 5,000 credits when the game launches, and and I will get a little referral bonus. So it works for you, it works for me, and I hope to see you next time. Later.
With courage. For honor!